We're doing this is Phase 4 release day, February 11th, 2022. We're back here again with another comparison video, but this is again like we tried doing the interactive comparison last week. We're also going to do that again for this, and today I'm going to be taking requests. However, there's a couple things I want to cover before we get started, but everybody has universally been requesting the High Road Pearl for like a month now. And so I drilled a brand new fresh High Road Pearl yesterday and actually went out and got some more footage with that. I got some better footage with my Spectre. So we're going to take a look at both of those here. I'm going to go ahead and play some, give you a refresher on the Phase 4 if you haven't seen enough of it all over YouTube for like the last month or so. So, go ahead and put your Phase 4 comparisons. What do you want to see? Start putting that in the chat, and then I'm gonna, after we're done with the High Road Pearl, I'm going to kind of gauge what everybody wants to see next. We're gonna pull it, and I'm gonna talk about it, and hopefully this will be a bunch of fun. Please let me know if you can see me, hear me all right, all that fun jazz. Got my PBR sign up there. PBR, sponsor of the PBA, which is pretty cool. So yeah, this is always what I look like anyway, so it's just always going to have problems with the light balance. So anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and turn on some of Angel throwing the Phase 4. And once again, before we get started, I hope everybody came away with from my review and from some of the other stuff we've been talking about with the right impression. It looks very good for Angel. It looks marginal for me. I don't really like it. She actually loves it. She just prefers her original phase, her original overseas phase, which is the same ball, it's just different colors. She prefers the scent on that, but she's not big on root beer, so. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's going to work or not. Anyhow, so we're going to take a look at this, and once again, the Phase 4 looked very, very good for Angel, period. So I know that I said that I didn't like it, but I didn't want everybody to come away with, well, Luke said it sucked. No, it's a case of two different outcomes for both of us. It looks very good for her. It looks really good for a bunch of the righties that I've seen throw it. Not so much for me. Some people it doesn't quite match up with, but again, it's a very strong core, still symmetric, and a pretty tame medium strength cover. Also, something else that I want to get out of the way. I understand that everybody naturally wants to try to help or offer suggestions, or did you put this surface on it, or what about if you did this other layout, or what about if you did this or that. A lot of the reason why number one, we film here, the ball reaction is very good here. It's a very fair, and I think that James, also Shimracker, that's in here, he's been here. He's been to several different places in Kansas City. He's been, he lives in North Carolina. He bowls a bunch all over the place over there in UBA stuff. And so that's what that was. Gotcha. So he bowls that stuff all the time, all over the place. And so I'm pretty sure that he can tell you, like I can too, ball reaction is very good here. It feels very true. I feel like I get one of the truest reactions out of a ball that I get, here versus anywhere else. And again, the layouts that we use, if a ball doesn't look good for Angel with this layout at this center, it's not going to look good or get better anywhere else or with anything else. We might fiddle around with it. We fiddle around with the surfaces, of course. I am the same way. I figured out a really good symmetric layout that I like, that looks amazing on my Spectre, on my new High Road Pearl, on my Hustle Camo that I shot 300 with, IQ, that I put it on IQ Tours all the time. So this is a very, very good symmetric layout for me. So if it doesn't look good with this layout at this center, it's not going to look good, or it's not going to get better somewhere else. And I filmed twice with this ball. I had 3 different surfaces on it. It didn't work out. So while I appreciate the suggestions, I've been in the pro shop for 15 years and whatever else. And at some certain point, I've got such a loaded bag. I mean, we go through so many balls, we try out all kinds of stuff. I've got such a loaded bag that for something to actually make it into for something to actually make it into the bag is pretty tough to begin with, let alone if I have any kind of issues with it or if it doesn't quite fit. So once again, just because it doesn't fit for me, don't come away with the idea, oh, he said it sucks, I'm not going to get it, because we just watch Angel hardly ever miss with it, period. Once again, this is the raw footage from the first time I filmed that actually didn't make it into the review, hence the chicken legs. Again, it looks very good. If I can just stand here and kind of flop, float, shove it up second arrow, fine. But I've also got several other balls, again, Spectre, IQ Tour stuff that's more comfortable for me to throw, and it looks even better from that line. So while it looks good and it looks doable and it looks good from there, yes, it does, but I have other balls that do the same thing but better, and that also let me move a little bit. Because you can see on both this and the other cut that I have, if I try to move around with it, with surface, anything else or not, period, it's just not beating out other things that I have in my bag. And again, I take a Phaze 3 everywhere, and it's amazing. It's just a better cover core balance for me personally. So that all out of the way, while we're looking at the footage here, once again, Angel looked amazing. Mine's workable. However, we've seen a good look at this, so I'm going to go on ahead and go into the High Road Pearl footage, because I kind of wanted an excuse to drill. I've also got another High Road on the way, because both of these used to be good the first time I was left-handed. I used to use both of these quite a bit, and I kind of wanted an excuse to drill them. And with the Phaze 4 and the Spectre and the Wolverine, and still having the High Road Pearl, High Road in the lineup, they're kind of all on top of each other. With the core numbers aren't a ton different, but there are some meaningful differences between some of them. And seeing as how the Phaze 4 also shares the same cover stock as the High Road Pearl, everybody naturally wants to see, okay, well, it's got the exact same cover, it's the exact same finish, a different core. What are the differences? This is a very good way to look at those differences and see exactly what those differences mean. So, oh gosh, brightness. Everyone wear your sunglasses. All right. So got this last night, and I'm sure that you should be able to tell a big difference right away, how much easier it looks like it gets down the lane. It floats, it glides. You can see that it's spinning, but it doesn't really start revving up until much later down the lane. The Phaze 4, you can see, tries to start doing something earlier than it actually does. And like I said before, strong symmetric cores and R2S Pearl for me do not get along. So IQ Emerald, Sonic, trend was okay, but in general, anything around 250 RG symmetric ball, it's just too much core for the amount that the cover doesn't hook. And with the High Road Pearl, you can say I'm throwing it anywhere. I mean, going ahead and hashtag left is walled. Let me see it in the chat. Like the video for the left being walled. Follow my Bowler's Mart link in the description to go buy one of these right now. Highly appreciated. Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, somebody said something about that, tucking in the shirt and slacks, someone going pro. It was kind of politely suggested that the bright orange chicken legs are not a good look for a video. I mean, I can't do anything about the rest of this, but anyhow, so you can see, again, I've never had any problem. It's not R2S Pearl that I have the problem with, because on something with torque, astrophysics, I love my astrophysics. It's like a big High Road Pearl. I want to pause that right there. I was looking at this earlier. So the Phaze 4 has a 248 RG. The High Road Pearl has a 257 RG, and those in bowling language, that's huge. That's gigantic. So the Phaze 4 wants to roll and rev and start up a whole bunch earlier than the high road pearl does. So the high road pearl naturally wants to get way down the lane to begin with. And so normally the high road pearl, stuff like the high road pearl have been reserved for transition. When you get a bunch of transition, when the lanes start getting dry, then when the lanes start getting dry, the kind of medium to low strength cover and that higher RG core that wants to help the ball push through that, to help it get down the lane, the combination of that offsets the dry nature of the lane that wants to make the ball dig in and go sooner. So I'm also going to do a video here fairly soon about the difference between bad ball reaction and bad execution. So let me find this 710. So I'm moving in here a little bit, and you can see that one hit just a little bit weak. And as I move in, I make that one, I rolled a little bit more to try to get it up, but I didn't quite give it enough room. So here I moved just a little bit, got it out to the friction, but I shoved it. So because I tugged the last one, I rolled it and I tugged the last one because the previous one was kind of light. I threw it, I didn't quite get enough on it. It was kind of a light mixer. Then the next one, I tried to slow roll a little bit more, got it in a little bit, it overhooked. Then I moved just a little bit in and tried to get softer with my hand again. The only thing is I just pitched it. I just pitched it straight out to the friction. So this is a case of a bad shot, not bad ball reaction. However, this can also give you some good information at the same time. If you are both too deep and throw a bad shot, then it's going to compound things. So I'm a little bit too deep. It's not too bad yet though. So if you watch here at the bottom, I just kind of sent it. I just kind of olayed it. I just kind of almost killed it. And somebody will take a look, somebody else will take a look at that and go, oh, what bad pocket shot that should have carried. No, it shouldn't. That's one of those that off my hand, I was like, oh crap, I was too easy out of it. Let me catch up with the chat here for just a second before we get back into it. What are we thinking, everybody? What are we, yeah, James said yes. The Royal Crest is super neutral. Good Lord. Royal Crest is a super neutral house from a shape perspective, doesn't blur ball to ball too much. Lots of things work for a lot of people. So yeah, it's one of those things where you get a really good read on ball reaction here. And if something looks iffy here, it's probably not going to look better somewhere else. So, yeah, parallax, we're looking at parallax effect, altered reality. Colin wants to see more Spectre. What else are we? I do not have a PAPS, unfortunately. Left is walled. Yes, purple ball on the left. I'm not even sure. I mean, I'd probably, well, yeah, it's a purple ball on the left. Would you recommend the Phaze 4 to someone who bowls in a house shot league on two-handed with a medium rev rate? Thanks. Yeah, a higher, you're two-handed, somebody with higher rev rates, slower speeds are going to get a lot of help out of the Phaze 4 because it still rolls and revs like a stronger ball. But with the cover being on the weaker side, it doesn't dig in and take off so much. And so I think that's why you see a lot of the two-handers on tour here lately have been, you know, Kyle Troop over the last summer was throwing a lot of the Idle Synergy, UC2, pretty clean covers with stronger cores. Belmo and Simo have been throwing the Spectre and the Wolverine here quite a bit lately, and they're still somewhat stronger cores, but they're not quite as early. So which of the SPI balls released lately most closely resembles the Idle Synergy? It's probably going to be the Spectre or the Wolverine. Now I did drill, I really love my Synergy, and the Spectre and the Wolverine both are close, but I have them drilled a whole lot stronger. And so if you go that direction, the Idle Synergy's got a 249 RG. These both have 254s, which are higher, the ball's naturally going to want to get down the lane further. So you probably want to go on ahead and so you're probably going to want to drill a little bit stronger. Anyway, I'm going to get back into this now that I've been rambling. Nothing's been happening on the stream. So what I did here is, as I pause it again. So what I did here is that last one was flat. And so I just slowed everything down a little bit, gave it a little bit more at the bottom, and pulled back up. So that shot tells me, okay, well, it was just a bad shot. It wasn't a combination of. That one's just a little bit light, but I threw it a lot better, so that's why I got the hit. Now that I'm moving deeper here, I'm going to slow my tempo down a bunch and really roll it at the bottom. You can see that my speed's down and my rev rate's up. This ball naturally wants to go long. So once you get in deeper, I'm still on kind of a fresh-ish house pattern. So it's naturally going to want to go long, but what this allows me to do is kind of slow my tempo down and roll it. And you can see it still naturally wants to get down the lane. But as I slow it down, as I roll it more, as I throw it better, now it's got a really nice motion and shape to it. And so you can see where I've gone from a couple 7-pins to in a 7-10 to ridiculous ball motion now. And I don't know how many times I've seen somebody watch one of my reviews and I'll have like 30 strikes and I'll have a couple 7-pins, and it's like, oh, I don't know, it doesn't look like it really carries the 7 that well. I'm kind of worried about that. Throw a better ball, throwabetterball.com or throwabettershot.com, something like that. So yeah, once I move in, this is why a lot of the two-handers has won a bunch of titles with the High Road Pearl. He used it a bunch previously to the Spectre and the Wolverine coming out, because you can get deep and you can bang on it and it doesn't burn energy. Again, the biggest thing is for a higher RG ball, it's less about burning energy, because it doesn't really have a whole lot of, it's got a weak core and a weak cover. It doesn't have a whole lot of energy to burn. It's not gonna, unless they're crazy crispy fried, you're not going to get a ball like this to burn energy. Now, what the problem becomes is it's too clean up front, and that core maybe never getting into a roll. So the problem with something like a High Road or a High Road Pearl is it going too long, loping, never quite winding up or never quite getting ready to hook. So something like this offsets a higher rev rate when they can just bang it, they can just bang on it and shape it the way that they want to shape it. Phase 4, T2 and the X2. Yes, the T2 and the X2 are on this. So we're going to take a look at those. I won't spend too much more time on this, but I'll go ahead and we'll get through the rest of the footage I have here. And it's just a good, consistent, predictable ball. I can play anywhere on the lane with it. It lets me shape it however I want to shape it. This is why it's been around. This has very quietly been around for like 7 years now. So those of you who don't know, the High Road Pearl came out in like 2015. So it's been around a long time. All right, now we're going to take a look. I got new footage with the Spectre also. The other footage that I had wasn't too great. I was still working on some mechanical stuff. I ended up like elbowing it and shoving it and chucking it too many times. So we're going to go ahead and add this back in. Also, because I wanted to see how exactly it compared to the High Road Pearl on the same lane at the same time. I can get a really good feel for how it looks, how it feels when just in this house in general, because the pairs play fairly similar from pair to pair, lane to lane. At least the ball reaction is the same. The ball reaction doesn't change a whole lot. It's just, some lanes are drier and some play slicker and some play drier. But you can see that the Spectre is both earlier and smoother. You can see that the High Road Pearl wants to go longer than this. This has a stronger cover. This is R3S Pearl instead of R2S Pearl. You can see it kind of stabilize kind of right there around those tracer boards. And then it blends better because it's got a stronger cover. And slap it out. Get in your canoe and paddle off. So this one I really like because it's not quite as long and as sharp as the High Road Pearl. So in a certain situation where I need a little bit more cover and a little bit more blend, say the High Road Pearl either going too quick or it's going too long, the Spectre, because of the stronger cover, is going to get more traction through the oil. So it's going to be it's going to blend the front to back a little bit more. It's got a little bit more core in it too. The differential is a little higher, which is going to make it flare more, and the RG is a little bit lower, which is going to make it roll in revs sooner. And then again, with this cover being stronger, even though it's still a pearl, you can see, I mean, pearl, just saying pearl, okay, well, you're looking at the high road pearl, then you're looking at the Spectre, and you can see some similarities, but the Spectre is definitely more buttery. And we say buttery, or when something's butter, it's really smooth. So I can just kind of slow roll this, and because it allows me to, gives me the ultimate amount of control, but still being really clean up front, so I can keep my speed slow. Stuff like that's going to happen with a ball this smooth, and especially when I'm getting in deeper. It's still got a 254 RG, so it still wants to be a little bit longer, but it's still, R3S is still a medium strength cover. But all I have to do is just kind of change my shapes a little bit. And that, again, the difference between a bad shot, those couple, I just didn't quite get out to the friction, or didn't quite roll enough. And, you know, here, having something that's this blendy on the back end is just great, because you can see I can get it out, I can get it way out there, or I can kind of, you know, shim it, stuff it in there. Something that's more responsive, like the high road pearl, is not going to give me quite as much mist room inside. It'll get back from the friction, but so will the Spectre. So, I mean, these two pair really well together. If you generally like high road strength of equipment, this gives you a different look in something that's very familiar and accessible. And also, just to show you, I was telling you the other day, I don't cut a whole lot of shots out. I had a couple in here where I just, my arm swing got wonky and the ball never made it left to 15. That's not going to help anything. So I try to represent the ball reaction the best I can, while also leaving as many shots in as I can. I'm not trying to just edit all the misses out. So, I mean, this was I threw 2 games with the high road pearl, and then 2 games with the Spectre. I did them all at the same time too, so it wasn't like 245, 200 with I just did them all at the same time. So, I mean, this is what we have. So I'm going to pull the Phaze 4 back in just to let you look a little bit more at that, just to kind of refresh us before we go on to the next comparison. And what do we want to see here? I might pull in the Trend 2 next. I've seen that a couple times in the chat there, so I might go on ahead and pull that back in. And Angel actually threw the Trend 2 the best between us, so I'll try to add in as much of the righty stuff as I can here. So while you guys are watching that, I'm going to work on pulling the next. Who all's still throwing the Trend 2? We're just going to play the video, I think. What's that, Meow? Yes, thank you, James. That's a very good point. You can actually change the speed that this goes on YouTube. So if you want to go back and you want to slow something down, you can actually slow it down in the settings portion on YouTube. So once again, this is it's kind of spectral. This is definitely earlier, heavier rolling, stronger for Angel than the Spectre, but it's a very similar look. It's just the Spectre is longer and a little bit sharper. So Angel plays a little bit further right with the Spectre. That was a bad rack, by the way. If you go back and look at this rack. So you can tell right here, look at the gap look at the 3-pin and the 6-pin, and tell me you don't see, I might have gone too far back. But we had kind of just look at the 2-pin and the 6-pin. You should be able to figure out which rack this is going to be. Hey, morning from Oz. Heck yeah. There we go. I think this is the rack. The 3-pin's a little deep and left. And she got it a little bit straight through the fronts, and so yeah, that's when you get that weird hit. So that was a little bit of her not throwing a great shot, but a little bit of the rack not being there. So very rare. They still have A2s out here, and it's a very rare thing to have something like that happen. So that was, again, just a back. People don't read too much into stuff sometimes. If something happens 2 or 3 times in a row, cool. But these once-off things, I wouldn't worry too much about those. Like I was talking about earlier, making a bad shot versus bad ball reaction. Sometimes you really got to make sure which one it was. So, all right, we're going to pull some Trend 2 in here. Hey, look, there's all my sponsors. 10% off at CoolWick. Thank you. Anything on CoolWick? All right, so the difference here between the Trend 2, I guess I'll just let it play. The difference here between the Trend 2 and the Phaze 4 is that the Trend 2 has a higher RG core. Once again, it's 254. So we're looking at the same in the Wolverine. However, it's got NRG hybrid, which is pretty strong. It's the same cover that was on the Physics and the Supersonic. Very similar to what's on the RSTX1. It's still shiny, but it's got again, a very similar core to the Spectre and the Wolverine. The differential's lower, and so that's going to make it a little bit less on friction. And I forgot I did this video this way, but we'll just watch all of it. Angel does like the Phaze 4. She has an original Phaze that's also R2S Pearl. It's the same exact ball. It's just the colors of the original Phaze. She likes that. She likes the scent of that one better. So she prefers to throw that one if she wants or needs that kind of a look. So the thing here with the Trend 2 is it was built to be a complement to the Trend, which also has R2S Pearl on it, like the Phaze 4 does. Now this one, they made the core a little bit weaker, so it wanted to push a little bit further down the lane, but they made the cover a little bit stronger, so you still get stability from you just get it from the cover instead of the core. The core lets you go on ahead and rev it up and have it still wait until it gets further down the lane to start revving up, but the cover gets a little bit of traction all the way down the lane, so they took things and flipped them a little bit. So the Phaze 4 has the stronger core and weaker cover. The Trend 2 has a stronger cover and kind of weaker core. So the difference here, I think you can see that Angel is a little bit further right with the Trend 2 than the Phaze 4, and you can see that where it still rolls really stable, it doesn't start really winding up near as soon as the Phaze 4. So the Phaze 4, you can see it start to go down the lane, and then it starts to tumble and rev and roll a whole lot faster than the Trend 2. The Trend 2 doesn't really, it's got kind of a uniform roll until it hits the end of the pattern, and then as soon as you can see it hit friction, that's when it starts winding up. The Phaze 4 starts winding up quite a bit earlier. So I'll let this play a little bit, and I'll pop the Phaze 4 back in. So yeah, just watch the rolling. Watch the rolling. It doesn't start revving up until it gets to the very end of the pattern. The cover, again, the cover keeps the stability, and it gives you a nice, consistent, predictable reaction. But sometimes you need the core to rev up faster. So I'm going to go on ahead and add this back in. So now look at this again. Right, side by side, it starts winding up right there. So it starts winding up a good 5 feet earlier the Trend 2 does. To blend the back end, it really depends. Well, to blend the back end, I think it depends on whether you're on a wetter or drier pattern. I think if you're on a drier pattern, the Trend 2 is probably not going to be the pick, because the cover, even if the core is trying to get down the lane, the cover responds more to friction. It needs less oil on the lane, or it needs more oil on the lane to get it down the lane. It needs it's going to hook more on drier boards than the Phaze 4 is. So if you have a bunch of oil up front and then you have sharp back ends, the Trend 2 is not going to be the choice, because the core already wants to get down the lane. And then if you have enough oil to get that cover down the lane at the same time, it's going to just go nuts on the back end. So something like the Phaze 4 would be better if you've got oil in front and flip your back ends, because that core is going to start revving and it's going to start slowing it down, and the cover is going to take a little bit longer to get some traction. So I would say it definitely depends on the conditions. If you're on something, yeah. So yeah, why does the Trend 2 look so chuggy? It's not necessary. It does kind of chug a little bit, but that higher RG and the lower the kind of medium differential, it doesn't get the core going very fast. So it's very, very slow moving to kind of rev up. Hey, sponsors again, shameless promotion. So once again, look again here, how much slower the Trend 2 is to rev up. It does make up a bunch of ground on the back end, but that core doesn't get going nearly as quickly. And so that's why they built it to be a deeper zone complement to the Trend, so that when you have to get in there and you've got all that angle to overcome, so that you can still go on ahead and put a bigger rev rate on it. Move a little bit further. Whoops. Hey, we might get on that while we're here. This is the Trend. Angel's Trend was really boomy. And you can see that here's the difference in the cores. And we can also visit this because of the Phaze 4 comparison too. Trend 2 has a 252 RG and an 048 differential, I'm pretty sure. So it's not quite as strong of a core as it's 251, 048 or something like that. It's not quite as strong as the Phaze 4 core. So it's going to get down the lane a little bit faster. It's going to get down the lane a little bit easier and be a little bit sharper. It's got the same exact cover though. The lane a little bit further and be sharper. But the difference between the Trend and the Trend 2, you can see here, the Trend does start winding up faster than the Trend 2 does. This thing really goes for Angel. Nationals team condition. Yeah, Nationals team condition. I'm definitely not using any of this clean cover stuff. We're going like IQ Tour pitch black, something flat. We're going to go controllable. So, or something like the US Open championship that you can kind of see that Belmo was using the pitch black, which looked the best until they got to that one game where they both decided to use the Wolverine for some reason. Again, they're better than all of us, so you can ask questions all day long, but both of them thought that it was a good idea to go to that. It didn't end up working out, and you can kind of see, those flatter patterns and cleaner covers. Sometimes it doesn't quite work out. So that's a look at the Phaze 3 versus the Trend 2. I'll go ahead and let it play here while I pull something else in. How about UC2? Does anybody want to? Let's do X2. I remember somebody asking about the RSTX2 since it's more recent ball here. Whoops, wrong one. Where's my... Man, there's all the sponsors again. How am I doing this? Shameless propaganda and reinforcement. This is back when we had the lane level look. is. There we go. So the RSTX2 is asymmetric, wearing the same jersey. The RSTX2 is asymmetric. It's got a very similar cover strength to the Phaze 4. It's got E-Trax plus Pearl, which I think is closer to R3S. So the RSTX2 cover, I think, is closer to the Spectre cover than it is to the Phaze 4 cover. But it's kind of in the middle. I don't think it's quite as strong as R3S. And there's not a big difference between R3S and R2S to begin with, just a little extra traction. So the cover is somewhere in between them. The core is actually higher RG than the Phaze 4. So even though it's asymmetric, it's got the asymmetry to help with the torque and the firmness and kind of kick it on the back end. The RG is higher. So it's 253 RG, I believe, for the RSTX2 versus the 248 for the Phaze 4. So even though the Phaze 4 is not asymmetric, it has an earlier core in it. It just doesn't have the asymmetry to help it really kick or to give it that drive or that punch on the back end. Yeah, my mouth is moving, but I'm not saying anything. I used to do this a little bit different. So, all right, we're going to move into without the ventriloquist or just the dummy. Oh yeah, kick it out. So here you can see she's playing about the same place with the X2 as she was with the Phaze 4, but the X2 is actually clearing the fronts a little bit better. It is, however, more dynamic down lane. I've been using my X2 a bunch here recently. That's what I shot 790 with on Tuesday, actually. I like it because it with that cleaner cover, and even though it's asymmetric, people normally think asymmetric, it's going to be strong, it's going to be diggy, it's going to be early. Well, it's a kind of a weaker asymmetric core, and so it still lets me really get on it. Let's go back here. It still lets me really get on it while pushing at the same time. So you can see it doesn't start up as early as the Phaze 4, but it's definitely more dynamic on the back end than the Phaze 4. Plus, it's gorgeous. This is one of the best looking balls on the market right now. It looks so sharp. But you can see there's a little bit more balance here, I think. Or maybe it's just because I've got righty brain and I like watching stuff turn sideways. Yeah, I like the lane level shot. It's easier to see the nuance of the core moving and all that. I had several comments to the effect too that that people wanted to see our form at the same time because it helps them get a better view at something. But I do like the lane level look because then it just makes it about the ball reaction instead of the guy in his canoe with his fancy looking belt, which, by the way, my fancy sharp looking belt here, they do not have it anymore. The belt is being redesigned. So every once in a while, they're going to have some special edition, different type of merchandise up there. So watch the Storm website for stuff like this. So because they might make one batch of it, like they might make one run of the belts, and when they sell out, they're gone, and it kind of becomes a collector's item. So stormbowling.com, I bet that there's a bunch of stuff on that website that you don't know is there. So the difference here, I'm going to go ahead and pull the Phaze 4 footage back in. We'll keep bouncing back and forth because I know with having just shot after shot after shot, it's hard to see versus side by side. So I'm going to go on ahead and pull the Phaze 4 back in here now that we've just taken a look at this, so that you can once again kind of get the refresher. Right back here, and you can see starts revving up earlier and then is blendier down lane. So even though they've got very similar covers, they're both pretty clean. Like for 30 feet, nothing happens. They both glide because they got very clean covers. However, once again, the Phaze 4 has the earlier rolling core without the torque. RSTX2 has a little bit higher RG core, which makes it want to go further down the lane. Then it's got all that asym torque to really make it turn over down lane. So the Phaze 4 is a nice combination of something that gives you a clean and sharp cover, but also that core, how heavy it rolls, and without being asymmetric, it gives you a heavy roll, but something that's clean and wants to be sharp at the same time. So that's why I think it's good for the heavier hands, or the two-handers especially if you're getting into two-handed. This would be a perfect ball to give you a nice shape on the lane and be really controllable without making you have to throw it a million miles an hour. I think that's the biggest barrier to entry. That's the biggest barrier to entry with the with two-handed, is that it takes a while to get your speed up. And so when you're looking for something that rolls strong, because if you go to something like with a really weak core, it's going to be kind of inconsistent. If you get it out, it's going to stop and go sideways. If you get it in, it's going to still want to go long. So something like this with a medium strength to weaker cover and a stronger core is going to give you a very consistent roll while still not making you throw it 5 million miles an hour. So yeah, it'd be cool if you could split screen both balls. I'd have to build the video file like that, but that's a very good idea. I want to start doing that actually, because it would be helpful to see them side by side, and that way I can just, if I have certain comparisons that I'm going to do, maybe I'll try that for the gem actually, so that I can show you what it looks like side by side with the Proton, side by side with the Reality. Those are both going to be featured in the review. But that would be that's a good idea. I'm going to use that. That's pretty good. So, what do we want to see next? Phaze 4 compared to the original High Road. I think we could probably do that. That's reasonable. Because we saw the High Road Pearl earlier. Spectre getting canned is your fault. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to do. I don't like the Phaze 4 at all, but I can tell you, I try to tell people when it's going to be, and obviously with Angel's slower speed and more balanced game, it looks, everything R2S Pearl for her looks great, period. But the Phaze 4 is a combination of stuff that sucks for me. But it's going to be really good for certain people in certain situations. So actually, I am going to go to the High Road and I'm going to start Angel. Yeah, that's perfect one to go on. I did a video called that was the Spectre and the Wolverine versus the High Road. Hopefully I can find just have to find the folder it's in. There we go. Bam. That's a sexy looking thumbnail. So this is her first High Road. She's literally never thrown a High Road before. This is her very first High Road. And with all the stuff that she has a High Road Pursuit, which is an overseas High Road Pearl. She has a Teal Badger. She has some other kind of higher RG, kind of bouncy stuff to begin with. And she's like, I don't need one. I don't need one. I don't need one. Why would we draw one? But then the Spectre and the Wolverine came out, and I'm like, this is exactly why you need one, because I'm curious about this too. So I want to know how all these balls, because we got 5 balls in the line right now that all have fairly clean cover. This is R2S Hybrid versus R2S Pearl, to be able to see the difference between, I'm going to have a video with the High Road Pearl, the High Road Spectre, and the Wolverine all together, so that you can see exactly what the differences are, how they overlap, how they don't overlap. But there's a lot of similar stuff on paper in the lineup right now between all 3 of the brands. So the thing is here, once again, High Road Core 257 RG, which is a ton higher than the Phaze 4. The Phaze 4 is 248. So again, Phaze 4 wants to be really early and rolly. High Road wants to get down and wants to boom. The differentials aren't too much different. I think that the High Road is 046 versus the Spectre's, versus the Phaze 4 is 050. So there's not a big difference there. So we'll go ahead and play this. Standing a little bit further right now than the Phaze 4. Kind of somewhat similar, but she does start to get deeper here. And the main thing is that you can see that she can just fling it at the ditch. it doesn't start up near as early, because that shot right there, that very same shot she threw several times with the Phaze 4, it's as soon as it started getting out to 5 board at 35 feet, it started really winding up and slowing down and getting ready to make the turn. The high road just sees that and it keeps pushing, because once again, it's going to take more friction to get the ball to turn over and get that core to start revving up. So the difference here is that the high road, as the hybrid version of R2S, is marginally stronger. It does matter within the same formula, but generally hybrid over Pearl in the same formula is going to be a little earlier and smoother, and then the solid's going to be even a little bit earlier and smoother than that. So yeah, the high road, this is why it's 13 years old, because it's just ridiculous. It's just insane how good this ball is. So it gets all the way down the lane, and then you can see it wants to start hooking, but then it pushes an extra couple feet, where the Phaze 4 is a whole lot earlier, but it's not this dynamic. It doesn't pop this much on the back end. So I don't think that I would call the high road a step down from the Phaze 4. I would call it a step sideways, because you're not really changing a whole bunch here. You're really changing shapes is really what you're doing. The high road might be a step down in the sense that if you want the similar strength of cover, but the core, the Phaze 4 is just revving up too soon. That's why the high road Pearl looks better for me than the Phaze 4. The Phaze 4 just wants to rev up it wants to do too much too early, and then it doesn't have the traction necessary to get going down lane. So even though the high road Pearl is technically a weaker ball than the Phaze 4, that's why it looked better for me, because the core and the cover match up better, and so it was putting the reaction in the same spot. Because the Phaze 4 for me wanted to go in the mid lane, but it didn't have the strength to take off in the mid lane. And the cover wasn't doing anything, but by the time that the core had turned over and it was done kind of doing its thing, then the cover started to pick up. And so it was a very mismatched type look here. And as long as we're here with the Wolverine, we'll just go on ahead and take a look at the Wolverine too. And the Spectre's coming right after this. So this might be the perfect video to just show all of these at the same time, because they're all very similar strengths of covers. The Wolverine cover is virtually R2S Pearl as well. It's called S70, but it's virtually R2S Pearl. So it's got basically the same cover as the Phaze 4, and it's got the same cover formula as the high road, but it's got a stronger core than the high road. It's got a 254 RG, once again, an 053 differential for the Wolverine. So it's still got a higher, it's basically a Phaze 4 with a higher RG, because the differentials are very similar. I think it's 051 in the Phaze 4. But the differentials are, completely negligible. No difference there. The only difference between that and the Wolverine and the Phaze 4 is the 254 RG for the Wolverine versus the 248 for the Phaze 4, which again makes the Phaze 4 want to roll up and rev sooner. So you can that she's a little bit further right with the Wolverine. Now she's moving in a little bit. So she's standing in virtually the same spot. Now she's in the same spot as, let me go back. She's in the same spot. Oh yeah. Go back to this sexiness. Richard, I might get into that a little bit towards the end of the video, to kind of when we're doing kind of a recap. That's a bunch to talk about right now. We're either close to the Code Black. The Code Black has a very strong core in it, but it's got the exact same cover as the Phaze 4. It's R2S Pearl. So you can see here, we've seen enough Phaze 4 that hopefully you remember what that was doing. But the Wolverine, once again, gets further down the lane, not quite as far as a high road or a high road pearl, but it's pretty close. The RG of the high road is 257 to the Wolverine's 254, so they're fairly close. It's just Wolverine's going to be a little bit earlier. It's got a little bit more differential, so it's just going to be a little bit stronger across the board. Yes, code's are asymmetric. It's the RAD 4 core, like a 248 RG, 058 different. Yeah, it's 250, 058, 020 or something like that. So it's monster strong. Now you can see the Wolverine's a little bit more blendy off the end of the pattern than the high road was. Now the Spectre, again, is in similar territory to the Wolverine. They've got virtually identical core numbers. So it's 254 on the RG for both of them, 050 for the Spectre to the 053 of the Wolverine. The difference here is, again, Spectre has R3S hybrid or R3S Pearl. Wolverine is basically R2S Pearl. It's S70 in global terms, but for all intents and purposes, Spectre is R3S. Wolverine is R2S Pearl, which is, again, R2S Pearl is on the Phaze 4. So the Wolverine is kind of like you took the cover from the Phaze 4 and the core from the Spectre and put them together. That's kind of what the Wolverine is here. Now this is, again, a weaker cover or weaker core than the Phaze 4, but stronger cover. So it wants to get down the lane further, but that cover gives it a bunch of stability where the Phaze 4 cover can maybe not kind of dig in quite enough. The Spectre cover is going to at least dig in and get you there. That's the big thing for me with the Spectre over the Phaze 4 is, once again, it's just a better cover core matchup. I don't have to throw it to get that core down the lane, but then I don't have to grab it and wrench on it to get that cover to grip. And with the high road pearl, the reason the high road pearl looks so good for me is that I can roll it more because the core doesn't want to start up so early. I can control the ball reaction instead of trying to kind of fight the ball reaction. So the high road pearl, even though it's the exact same cover as the Phaze 4, it allows me to do more of, to create more of the ball reaction. Okay, top of the list, cool. Thanks, James. Phaze 4 versus Axiom Pearl. We haven't seen that one in a while, but that I think is going to be good. So yeah, I'll go ahead and find. I'm going to go back once again. We'll reset with the Phaze 4, and then I'll pull the Axiom Pearl, and that would be a good one since we don't have the Axiom Pearl anymore, and it's fairly similar idea, just different covers. So good call on that. I like that. All right, back to the Phaze 4. We're resetting here. So we've already talked about the Phaze 4. The Axiom Pearl, I believe it's got the orbital core from the Axiom and Axiom Pearl. Of course, I think it's a 250 RG, 049, 050, 051 something. If somebody can save me and put the stuff in the chat. If anybody can pull those numbers for me, but I think it's really close. I think it's 250-ish, 050-ish, 051, 052, something like that for the Axiom 4. So very, very, very similar to the Phaze 4. I think the differences are kind of, there just really aren't any. Oh, 248, 050. So that's very, very close. That's basically the only difference between the orbital core and the velocity core. So the Axiom, let's just make it easy. The Axiom core and the Phaze 4 core is 1 point of differential. 1 point of differential. So the Phaze 4 is 051 instead of 050. So basically identical. We went ahead and oh yeah, look at this old fancy intro here. Oh, yeah. All right, back to the lane level look. So the major difference here The Axiom Pearl has a lot stronger cover stock formula, but because NEX is currently Storm's strongest formula, NEX Pearl is really weird though. It's not nearly as strong as you would expect it to be. It is, however, very blendy. So you can see that there's not a bunch of visible difference here. It's still it's very rolly. It still revs up in about the same place. It's probably even a little bit smoother than the Phaze 4, which is normal. The Phaze 4 has got a Marble Pearl throwback. The Phaze 4, the Phaze 4 is going to be sharper because the cover's cleaner, so it's not getting traction as early as this cover. So the biggest difference you're going to notice here with the difference in cover strengths, the cover of the Axiom Pearl is more blendy. So the Phaze 4 is going to be more, it's going to be longer, a little bit sharper. Thank you, Mistel. As compared to the Phaze 4. The Phaze 4 is going to be cleaner and sharper. This one's going to be a little bit earlier and smoother. But they're kind of, on a house shot, they're kind of on top of each other. It's really hard to explain cover formulas sometimes too, because the difference is a whole lot easier to feel than it is to see. And most of the time, stronger cover formulas look weaker because they're not shaping as much. The easiest thing to see on a video is shape. If you can see something turn over and go, that's easier to see, and that just kind of reads to your eyes and your brain like, oh, that hooks more. Well, no, it reacts more. Once again, weaker cover formulas are more reactive. They need a whole lot more friction, more dry boards to do what they're going to do. The Axiom, if you get on a flood, the Axiom Pearl is going to hook a lot more than the Phaze 4. Neither of them are really going to hook that much. But the Axiom Pearl is at least still going to get traction and do something. It's going to look closer to this than the Phaze 4 would if you put it on a heavier oil condition, because the Phaze 4 relies a whole lot more on available friction. And on a house shot, there's dry boards everywhere. So you're going to see a lot more response, a lot more shape out of a Phaze 4 than you're going to see out of an Axiom Pearl. But when you get on bigger volumes, that's when they're going to flip. All right, Phaze 4 versus UFO Alert. That's not a bad one either. Let's check that one out. UFO Alert. You save. Oh, this is one of my favorite ones. I like this one. I used to like the Mega Man games quite a bit. Sing. So this is going to be a somewhat similar experience to the RSTX2 because the Alert also has a higher RG. I believe the RG for this one's 252. So it's squarely medium. But it's not that strong of an asymmetric core. So again, the Phaze 4 is still going to want to roll earlier than the UFO Alert. The UFO Alert is E-Trax hybrid for the cover, which is it's a little stronger than R2S, I'm pretty sure. And it's a hybrid, but that doesn't matter a whole bunch. So the cover is marginally stronger on the UFO Alert versus the Phaze 4. The core in the Phaze 4 is earlier and rollier, but it doesn't have the torque, it doesn't have the punch, it doesn't have the kick down lane. So once again, what you're going to see is the Phaze 4 actually being a little earlier and slower than the UFO Alert. And we both really like this. We're both still throwing our alerts. Sometimes stuff gets kicked out of the bag for new stuff. We're trying stuff out, or something like a Spectre comes along that's just legit great. But the UFO Alert, she was having trouble, I think, with getting around the ball on this video. She gets, but yeah, you can see everything's just kind of forward rolling here. Once we get a little bit further along in the video, she'll start getting around it. That one wasn't bad. There we go. Maybe not. Yeah, she gets it figured out here towards the end of this footage, but again, I want to show all of it just to show you, the adjustments that are made, because when we're filming these videos, we're still figuring this out at the same time. And so Angel will bowl and kind of fish around to try to find the most comfortable line and show you kind of the optimal, preferred, best kind of look for this ball. I move from zone to zone to zone because I want to see, does this ball like playing straight? Does it like doing this? How does it handle an angle? How does it handle friction? How does it handle whatever else? So she will kind of fish around and play with it until she finds the look. And so I think right about he starts getting locked in. Kapow. So you can see again on some of these 10 pins, it does go longer than the Phaze 4. It's just the torque of the asymmetry really helps kick it, really make it consistent down lane. The Phaze 4 is going to roll up earlier and kind of ease into the pocket more. This is going to be more down lane. Let me go back here if I can get all this crap out of my hands. All right, so now again you can see bad shot versus bad ball reaction when I was talking about earlier. If she should get behind the ball, and so it's kind of straightening out down lane. However, once she kind of starts getting around the ball a little bit more, it's punchier. She just had to figure out the angles. So everybody in the chat, think about the Storm Nova. I'm not going to compare the Nova. There's some of these that don't make any sense. I'm not going to compare proton physics or reality, or I remember John had said earlier that so sorry John if you're still here after talking about this like an hour ago. Let's bring in the altered reality. That sounds like a good idea. So you've seen here that the UFO alert, they're kind of on top of each other. They're just a little bit different shapes. The Phaze 4 is going to roll earlier. It's going to be not quite as quick on the back end. The alert's going to get a little bit further down the lane and be a little bit firmer, but they're fairly similar. I just like the more consistency of the UFO. Again, the UFO alert is just a more balanced look for me. So, all right, you're just going to watch the RSTX1 for a second. Where are we going? Altered reality. Oh, there we go. Trippy. Oh no. Okay, so yeah, I forgot that we don't have Angel doesn't have an altered reality yet. I forgot about that. So all right, let's look at this and I'll pull the Phaze 4 out on the back end. The altered reality, the big difference here, it's asymmetric of course, but the major difference here is that this cover is crazy strong. Very, very, very strong cover. And so you can see that with the asymmetric core plus this stronger cover, it's just digging and going. You can see that it's revving up in a similar place as the Phaze 4. It's just once it starts taking off, it goes. And the thing with the altered reality is that I can just keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And it keeps hooking. It's relentless. It is crazy, crazy relentless. It wants to hook and hook and hook and hook. So for John, if you see this later, I'll try to tag in Discord. Original reality. And let's go back to shameless plugs. Once again, I'll drop this. If you're interested in any bowling stuff, follow my link in the description to Bowler's Mart to buy any of these things that look oh so sexy. Following the link will link your purchases with me. It helps kind of support the channel. So stuff that you're going to buy anyway. So yeah, the altered reality just hooks and hooks and hooks and hooks hooks and hooks some more. It's still hooking while I'm pulling this other video. So it's just nuts. And actually, I showed the reality, and then I went back to the altar. Dark code. Dark code's interesting. We might talk dark code. But yeah, the altar just hook for days. All right, phase 4. All right, so the first thing you're going to notice, wow, that gets a lot further down the lane. Even though I'm standing, I couldn't ever play second air with the altered. Wasn't an option at all. So you can see it's still really revving early. It's really revving early, but the cover isn't getting traction as early as the core is rolling. Comparisons to entry-level balls, Electrify Pearl, Hustle Wine. Yeah, I've got some stuff to work with there. I actually had an Electrify Pearl, so I'll pull that up next, back when I used to throw the ball good. So once again, the altered reality started revving, rolling in the same spot, but then you can see the phase 4 push like an extra 5 feet before it starts to do anything. The altered just, when it decided it was hooking, it started hooking. So, and it kept doing it as we got deeper on the lane. So where the phase 4 it'll hook from here because there's plenty of friction. We're right on top of all that friction on the outside of the lane. So, if you bowl on a house shot, you know that there's a bunch of dry on the outside of the lane. Now, as I get in just a little bit, I was still having trouble getting the altered reality down the lane from here. And at this point right here, I'm having trouble getting the phase 4 back up the hill. So again, if I pitch it out to 3, 4, or 5, the ball is going to react, but it's going to stop reacting when I get in here. All of a sudden, yep, goodbye. I don't know why that blinked there, but we'll go back. So yeah, you can see if I catch the 5 board and I'm playing straighter, somewhat straight, as soon as I move just a little bit and don't catch the 5 board at like 30 feet, all of a sudden it just sails. I had shoulder problems that I never could figure out right-handed, and so I unfortunately decided to go lefty. That was a great decision. But you can see as I get deeper here, the phase 4, it just, gosh, I've got to do way too much work. And it just, goodbye, it just kind of spins. The altered reality was just getting comfortable here. It was just getting comfortable. And see, then I try to, so the ball does nothing. I try to catch some friction, and then it's way too much friction. So, all right, I'm going to go to the, let me play this. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and let this play, and I will pull in the Electrify Pearl. The Electrify Pearl is kind of a good step down from the phase 4. And you can see surface didn't really help. So the Electrify Pearl is reactor. The Electrify Pearl is Reactor Pearl, which is the first generation of the R series cover stock. So, we have R2S, R3S, R4S, R2X, R3X, whatever else. We have all that stuff. Well, that originated from this formula. So the Electrify Pearl is kind of halfway between an IQ Tour and a phase 4. The RG, I believe, is 251 for the Electrifies, so it's not a whole lot higher. This is kind of a weaker version of a stronger ball. So it's 251.030, I believe. So it's got a low RG, but it's got a fairly low differential too. So it's not going to want to really, dig very early. So it's going to get down the lane. It's going to have plenty of pop down lane. So if I can get this video to stop stuttering, that'd be awesome. So it's a very similar roll. It's pretty quick on friction, but it's also kind of rolly because it's got that kind of medium lower, or it's got that kind of, it's either on the high side of low or the low side of medium. But you can see it's pretty similar. It's just this one's a little bit rollier because it doesn't quite have the differential. It gets down the lane a little bit easier. It's a little bit, I can't really say it's sharper or smoother. I don't know why this is stuttering. It's upsetting. This one's easier for me to roll. I don't have to chuck it so much because it's not as early as the Phaze 4. The Phaze 4 wants to be earlier, plus it wants to go more down lane. It's stronger cover stock than the E-Pearl. More differential to work with, so it wants to rev up and then it wants to go. The Electrify Pearl wants to be clean and kind of rolly. Michael, if you back up just a little bit, I had the UFO alert and the altered reality back to back. This is a Phaze 4 comparison stream for the Phaze 4 release today. By the way, once again, Bowler's Mart link in the description. Thanks, everybody. So yeah, you can see the same thing here. When I get in a little bit, I've still got to catch the friction to get the ball to tip. But very similar ball motions. It's just the Electrify Pearl is a weaker version. It doesn't want to be as early or as strong, period. Yeah, the Electrified, yeah. Actually, the Hustle Wrap is the Phaze 4 for people who want to. As the Electrify Hybrid that nobody cares about anymore, even though it was a better ball, but I digress. But yeah, the Electrify Pearl, again, for looking for bang for your buck type stuff, the Electrifies and the Hustles are ridiculous, especially the Hustle Wrap and the Hustle PBR. Those are way too strong for what I think the intent was or what they really should be. That's why the pros actually are throwing the Hustle PBR over the IQ Tour now. When they want that kind of a look, they're throwing the PBR, not the IQ Tour. What else? I think I'm going to pull the UC2 in. That's another kind of fairly reasonable comparison. I'm going to reset again to the Phaze 4. We'll do Angel on this one. All right, back to the Phaze 4. Once again, just to reset your eyeballs here. Actually, yeah, let's start. The dark code's more recent, so I'll go ahead and put that on. So the Phaze 4, the dark code also has it's got a very strong core. It's a very strong asymmetric core, but it's also got REX Pearl on it, which is a blend of R2S. So it's a blend of the Phaze 4 cover and the Axiom Pearl cover. However, on Storm Strength chart, NEX is the strongest cover that they have, and then REX is the third strongest that they have. So the dark code cover is mostly NEX. I think it's probably, I would guess it's got to be 90% NEX. They just added some R2S to it to make it a little bit longer, a little bit quicker. So let's pull the dark code review. Man, this is one of my favorite intros too. Seems as though people don't like my intros though. See all you people skipping over them in my my analytics and stuff. So, dark code, you can see it rolling and revving the same way. It's a little bit smoother than the Phaze 4, I would say, but chonky, crazy strong, crazy strong. So look at how deep she has to get just to get this ball down the lane. The asymmetry is going to give it, especially with as strong of a core as this is. I think it's 250. I think it's 250, 058, which is currently the highest differential on the market. This is almost getting them into trouble differential. So highest differential on the market, and then an 020, 021 intermediate differential. This is the code Extreme. But anyway, I think the dark code is a very similar friction response, but it's just orders of magnitude stronger, so much stronger. You can see where she's at, where she was throwing the Phaze 4 from, and she can barely get this ball down the lane. I mean, it just stops. Like where the Phaze 4 starts revving up, it doesn't quite go as early. So the Phaze 4 revs up, but the cover doesn't quite get traction as early, whereas the dark code is revving and getting traction. And so it's just going nuts. So I'll go ahead and fast forward a little bit. I'll show myself with the dark code and then with the Phaze 4. And this was tricky, like playing the second zone. Look at how I'm just flying out of it. I'm not touching this thing at all. I'm just kind of barely doing anything, and it's crazy. And as I get deeper, I did slow down and start rolling the Phaze 4, but I had to just fling the dark code until I got to 4th arrow. Thanks, Richard. I even hear, and this is the big difference. This is the big difference. And so on a house shot, when you have plenty of friction, everything is going to look really similar. And so when it's kind of a double-edged catch-22, because we want to do reviews on house shots because that's what everybody bowls on, but everything kind of looks the same on a house shot. And so I kind of sound like an idiot standing there, well, this is so much different than this other ball, even though they look the same. Don't pay attention to the video, even though you're watching the video to pay attention to the video. Don't pay attention to that, just listen to what I'm saying. But this is why I kind of move around. So like with the Phaze 4 and the dark code look really similar from straight, but as soon as I get in here, even the 3rd arrow, the Phaze 4 started getting wiggly. But in here with the dark code, it's still pulling up and just all of them off the deck. Just, yeah, let's just send it. Just give it full send. Frickin' 5th arrow or whatever. There's the UC2. Yeah, so you can see, let's go back to, I mean, look at how early this rolls, revs, and then actually starts up. Yeah, the release when I was throwing the ball here is looking pretty good. It's actually getting back. It's actually getting back there now. So I might flip back over to the High Road Pearl and the Spectre footage I got here recently. But yeah, it was pretty solid in this review. So I was pretty happy. So yeah, I am still just sending this ball. And so even when we get deep here, it's still chewing back and turning sideways and driving over the 9-pin, just straight up running it over. So all right. Now we did that. We're going to go back to the phase 4 just to compare again. What's up, puppies? All right. So back to the phase 4. Sunglasses. So you can see, again, from second arrow, there's not a whole lot of difference. You're just not going to see it. You can see, if you really pay close attention, you can still see the phase 4 going longer just because of the cleaner cover. But they look pretty similar from straight. However, we move in a little bit. So that's going to hook because I'm all on top of the friction right there. That one's going to go 70 feet. Yeah. Just doesn't quite get there. That'll hook. Yeah, because I got it onto the 5 board at 30 feet. If I don't get it to the 5 board at 30 feet, 0 chance. Yeah, that'll hook. Didn't look great, but it hooked. That'll hook. Hooked way too much. Now I'm going to move in and give it a little bit more room. Terrible decision. 0 chance. Goodbye. And maybe, no, not quite. That'll hook. Because I kind of nudged a little bit further that direction. That one I got a little bit softer with. Now that I'm in here deeper, see, I was throwing this exact same shot with the dark code. So this, you know, that one's going to hook, but where the dark code, where I was just sending it straight left, that'll hook. So I threw it slow enough and I got enough friction. Oh, what's up? Thanks, glad to have you here. This will be fun. And then that one, same shot as one of the that I threw at the dark code. It just this one never saw it. And then I try to catch more friction, and it does that. So the dark code, because the dark code, again, it's got a stronger core, but it's got a stronger cover, so it's going to manage the lane better side to side. It's not going to be as responsive on the friction, but it doesn't need near as much friction to actually hook. So it's going to get plenty of traction in the oil, so I don't need to send it all the way out to the 5 board to get it to hook. I can just go on ahead and put it right and just kind of let it walk down and in. What's up, buddy? Storm Dog, come here. Come here, buddy. Come here. Come here. You doing a famousness? He's only marginally wider than I am. Hey, buddy. I know. You're on YouTube. This is Storm Dog. Mm-hmm. Storm, buddy. Where's Tanner? Tanner here? All right. I know. Bye. I know. Go see Tanner. Mascot. Hashtag mascot dog. White mix. I'll pull that right up. No Brunswick for you. I just don't have any Brunswick stuff. Don't need any Brunswick stuff. Yeah, UC2. We're gonna go check out the UC2 because once again, similar across the board and similar cover strength plus mild asymmetry. So the real difference between the UC2 and the Phase 4 is that 011 intermediate differential. UC2. All right, so now the major difference here, the UC2 is crazy flippy. Crazy flip monster. OG Ruby. This might be a little choppy. That this is when I was testing 4K stuff. So this is actually native 4K video. So I'm not entirely sure what makes the Phaze 4 and UC2 roll so different, because they've got very similar covers. Then the only real difference on the core is that 011 intermediate differential in the Rubicon UC2, which shouldn't make that big of a difference. But the UC2 flies, absolutely flies. Ton of fun to throw. But you can see again, it's still that cover on that one, it made it want to push. So I've got to get in to get away from the friction, but then I've got to still catch some friction to get it to start up early enough and hook. That's the trade-off with these stronger cores and weaker covers, is that, and especially the weaker covers, they're designed for more drier lanes or transition when you have more consistent amounts of dry boards. When you have a fresh house shot, you've got a crap load of oil in the middle and you've got not a whole bunch on the side. So that's what makes these stronger core, weaker cover balls a little interesting on the fresh. They're more for transition balls, but I can make it work. See there, a 7-pin, and then it went too high. But I rolled but this ball rolls a lot better. The Phaze 4 is just so, and I think it's an R2S Pearl thing for some reason. That cover just labors for me. Even on stuff like the High Road Pearl and the astrophysics that I liked, it's pretty early and smooth. The E-Trax is cleaner and quicker than R2S Pearl, definitely. So I would love to know what the actual differences are in the covers. They're very similar strength-wise, but obviously, I mean, this is the UC2's nuts. Just absolute nuts. They're still making these, by the way. So if you follow my Bowler's Mart link in the description, which is for the Phaze 4, but you can follow it and get to this ball too. So if you've fallen in love with the UC2 here, bang, just bang after bang after bang. I was throwing it pretty good here too. James was actually here while I was filming this. He was practicing on the other lane. Fun fact. The UC2 is just, I don't know how you can watch this video and not want one. Even if you're a righty and have no idea what you're looking at. I'll flip over to Angel. Again, I don't have my UC2 anymore, but this was back when I had just started. This is back when I had just started up lefty again, and everything was too strong. Asymmetrics generally don't work out for me a whole lot anyway, but I'm really liking the UC2, and I wish I had something, or the RST X2. I really like the X2. It just goes too long sometimes. The UC2 is an earlier version of same idea. Just the RSTX2, because it's got, again, a 253 RG and a really clean cover, it just pushes too long sometimes. So if I had, but as soon as we step down to a symmetric core, then we just don't have the torque or wheels down lane. Even the Phaze 3 is really early and rolly, but it just doesn't quite have the conviction on the back end, where something that's asymmetric will have that torque to really make sure that it does something on the back end, that it pulls up and goes. Yeah, mostly track guy, but the UC2 is a monster. Love it. Yeah, it's easy math. It's such a great ball, and I would love to throw all the balls. Well, most of them. Zen Master and Phaze 4 excluded. All right, so what else do we want to see? I'm actually going to go back to the High Road Pearl once again for those of you that didn't see it here earlier. Oh gosh, what do I have? I'm not sure I have. I think I have Astro footage somewhere left. Maybe. I have no idea where it's at though. I would have no idea where it's at. I probably should have had that queued up though. The Astro, let me put it to you this way. The Astro and the High Road Pearl are on top of each other in terms of shape. The Astro is just a lot stronger. So the Astro shapes just like the High Road Pearl. It's just a whole lot more of it, which I know doesn't really help not being able to see it. But this, you can see it's not anywhere near as early as the Phaze 4. You see it just kind of, but it's not really, it's the same rotation speed. When you have something like a Phaze 4, you can see it just kind of roll. But the Phaze 4, it goes roll. I do not like the Phaze 4. Angel likes the Phaze 4, or she likes the original R2S Pearl Phaze, but she does like the Phaze 4, just in a different color and scent. But again, my problem with the Phaze 4 is specifically the strong symmetric core and R2S Pearl. I don't get along with any combination of that whatsoever. However, it's not just R2S Pearl, because the High Road Pearl and the Astro look crazy good. The Phaze 4 and Trend 2 are kind of different. I actually did compare those earlier. If you want to go back and look, I'll try to get back into the video and timestamp all of these. So if you're watching right now, when you get back into this later, if you miss something, I've been going for an hour and a half now, and so I've compared a bunch of balls. We looked at the RSTX2, we've looked at the Spectre, we've looked at the Wolverine, we've looked at the UC2, the Dark Code, the Trend 2. So we've looked at a bunch of stuff. I will try to get back in and timestamp these at some point. But for each comparison, I am spending about 10 or 15 minutes. So if you skip around the video kind of slowly, you should be able to see it pretty easily, and you might see something else that you want to see also. Probably not going to do the Insight. It's just nowhere near. It's just nowhere anywhere in the same vicinity, planet, anything as the Phaze 4. So again, some of these just aren't going to make. Some of the comparisons just aren't going to make a whole lot of sense. The Insight is asymmetric, and it's got a so much stronger cover. They're not on the same planet in terms of ball reaction. The Phaze 4 would be probably 2 steps down. Well, probably 1 or 2 steps down from an Insight. Oh, you ordered the Trend 2, but the Phaze 4 came. Then the Phaze 4 came out. So I'm trying to decide. They're not very similar. Yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of getting my form figured out here. By the way, throwing it not too heckin' bad. So I'm going to go on ahead and I'm just going to play something again. Let me just reset this. I'll play this again, and I'll search. See if I'll look at my my 4 terabyte of footage here and see if there's anything interesting that sticks out that I would want to show here. Yeah, I did the Spectre and the Phaze 4. I actually did the Spectre and the Phaze 4 at the very beginning of the video. I did the High Road Pearl and the Spectre. And I did it on the last stream from last Friday also. And the stream from last Friday, I compared the Spectre and the Zen. So if you want to see that comparison, I don't want to overlap too much of these. Here's a good one. We're going to look at the Hustle Wrap because this is going to surprise the living heck out of everybody. So the Hustle Wrap and the Hustle PBR are still in the lineup, and they are very, very strong for their price point. Shameless plugs again. These are very, very strong balls for their price point. If you're missing the Idle Pearl, get a Hustle Wrap. It's virtually the same ball. The Hustle Wrap, despite the 253 RG and 030 differential, extremely close to the Phaze 4. The Hustle Wrap really shapes like an electrified pearl, but it's a bunch stronger. I actually do have an Idle Pearl lefty. I'm pretty sure I can pair it in this video, matter of fact. I had one Idle Pearl lefty, but it was a little too strong, a little too forward. I had something I liked better at the time. I can't remember what it was. But I mean, this thing, just look at this thing. This thing is nuts. With a 5-inch pin, it's nuts. This is one that I'd really like to go back to and get another one of. I drill it with a stronger pin, but I've got all kinds of stuff on top of it right now. I've got the Spectre, the Wolverine, Phaze 3, High Road Pearl, High Road, which are all kind of on top of it. This is more like it's very Idle Pearlish. There was a pink Hustle actually. It was just overseas. It was actually a polished version of the PBR, the Hustle Pink. Got one in the basement. I got two in the basement, actually. But I mean, this thing is just nuts. Nuts, nuts, nuts. So if you want an $100 ball, I had a buddy of mine, Jason Crest, that might watch this. He was asking about what to get, and I'm like, seriously? A camo and a PBR? Well, they're both solids. Well, the PBR cover is a lot stronger than the camo cover, and they're both playable for him all the time. The Hustle POW, pink onyx and white. Pow, pow, pow. I had a POW. So yeah, we watched this one probably long enough. And the Electrified Pearl, this is similar. Oh, here's my IQ Emerald. This is where my IQ Emerald footage is at. So you can see, look at this. So we're just watching this nonsense of this wrap hooking off the planet. So let's okay, get a little bit deeper here. So we're watching this thing turn sideways. Just hook, 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 hook for $100. They're $100. They're cheap. I don't know why they have a ball this crazy at that price, but they do. It's a thing. It exists. Crazy ball. So yeah, Electrified Pearl. A similar motion, a little bit weaker, but it's also a banger. Here's my Emerald. So this ball costs $50 more when it was out, and it's not as strong. This is the same layout. They're having a hard time seeing it with all the stuttering. Here's the Idle Pearl. So once again, if you're watching this, tell me the difference between the Idle Pearl and the wrap. I want someone to explain to me the difference right now between the ball reaction of the Idle Pearl and the wrap, because I see zero difference. Zero difference. And the wrap here is again. The Idle Pearl and the wrap are on top of each other. So if you're missing the Idle Pearl, I've had a lot of people ask me about the Idle Pearl. Back to the Emerald here for a second. And this is an interesting one too, because there's people that have asked about the Emerald and the Idle Pearl, if the Phaze 4 would be replacements for those. So while I'm here, this was done luck. I'd have never found this if I was looking for it. I need to arrange and organize my stuff a little bit better. My videos, I tend to put them all in a folder for that particular ball that I'm reviewing rather than in one large stock footage folder, which I should be doing. So once again, idle pearl. I'll show these off and then I will flip back to the Phaze 4 to show you that they are not the same. Fairly somewhat close. They're in the same ballpark, but I just don't see it. So again, fairly somewhat similar. Seriously. But you can see how the Phaze 4 just kind of, it doesn't really roll like those other ones. It kind of rolls heavy and it looks like it's just trying to resist doing anything. The other balls roll and this one acts like it wants to just dig through. I mean, as soon as I lay it down, it acts like it just wants to dig straight through the freaking lane. It's just so much heavier rolling and chuggier, and it's not necessarily lazy, but yeah, the OG Sunstorm, yeah. These streams are going to turn into competition for obscure ball references. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that. Oh, moving from Brunswick to some Storm products, Midnight Jab. I am a Storm staffer, so I don't have any Brunswick stuff, so I can't show or compare it because I haven't thrown one, so I don't really know. Probably gonna do somewhat similar things, but yeah, Phaze 4 in the virtual gravity. Yeet. All right, I'm gonna scroll. I'm getting towards the end of the video here. I was gonna scroll down and see if there was anything else that was more recent and relevant that I might show up here. I had the Phaze 3 in the video. I had the Spectre in the video. Last week we did the Spectre, the Zen, the Phaze 3, and the Wolverine, perhaps perchance. So check out the video last week if you want to see that. I don't want to overlap too much of this stuff. I don't have any synergy footage there, so I think that will probably wrap it up for right now. I showed kind of everything that was relevant here recently, so instead of stretching this out, I want to thank everybody for hanging out and watching the stream. It was very fun. This is going to be a whole lot more helpful for me to be able to do it this way. Plus, you'll be able to see all kinds of things all at the same time. You can watch as little or as much as you want. And what was I? Oh, yeah. All right. Throw my shameless plugs up for either my Black Dragon Scales design, which is a stock design on CoolWick. 10% Rosedall 10 gets you 10% off. Or this that I'm wearing here is my blackout design in the video. You can join us. They've been putting links for this in the chat, the Discord at Storm Nation. Just follow the link in the chat. We have all kinds of people. We have 600 or 700 people in there or something like that. We talk bowling all the time. And if you want access to the private channels, which there are 15, 20 of those, everything from food to we have a Wordle channel, even for everybody that's addicted to Wordle. And if you're not, you're going to have to Google Wordle now and find out what that's all about. So, thanks everybody. We're going to go ahead and turn this off. I'm not good about really signing off of this stuff. But thanks, Storm, for providing me with all the stuff. Turbo grips, I would be using that stuff even if I used it before, and I'd be using it even if I wasn't on staff. I use just the urethane thumb solids. I have a round thumb, so I just stick a slug in there and drill them out. I really like the feel. And then the Turbo Quad Classic ices. I really like the gummy tack. It feels like sticking your thumb or sticking your fingers in a gummy bear. SRGBBFS on Facebook has over 30,000 members. They are the best place. If you want to look for anything used, international, rare, whatever else, that's the place to go for that. And then, of course, the Bowler Smart link in the description below to purchase any or all of these awesome balls that you saw on the show today. If you're going to buy them anyway, that's a good way to support me. Just follow the link. It'll associate my purchases or your purchases with me. And then big thanks to Royal Crest Lanes and Wayne and Larry's Bar and Grill that's attached. We spend a bunch of our time there. They always take good care of us. All I have to do is send a text to the manager and say, hey, I need to film some video. We're coming out. And he's like, I'll get you set up with a pair and whatever else. So check the chat one more time here. Wordle and death metal. Yep. So thanks a bunch. Appreciate everybody. If you're watching this after the fact, please let me know if you want any additional comparisons. We can probably work that out at some point. And I might have just a free-for-all. This seems like it'd be a fun stream for a free-for-all. The Phaze 4 did come out today, though, so that's what we were focusing on today. I might just do this every once in a while. Gem review next Friday. Gem review is coming, and then we'll do this probably on Saturday to feature a couple specific comparisons. And then I'll do another one of these, just kind of a free-for-all gem versus whatever else you want to see. So once again, next Friday, the Breakdown Pairs show is going to be on Wednesday at 6:30 like it normally is. Otherwise, that might be the next time I see you. I'm not sure. But anyway, thanks everybody for watching. I've drawn this out way too long already. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope you continue to watch and continue to enjoy this. And we will see you on the next one.